Hello and welcome to the Going Long podcast. This is our extended interview with Neil Stenton from episode 1 of our new YouTube series. Neil is currently working on his third book set in New York, following the cases of his fictional detective Sam Bussell and the high-profile operations unit. I met Neil just outside of Sheffield in the UK to chat about the books, but also how the New York Jets fit in. So Neil, the books are set in New York, yet we're in beautiful sunny Sheffield. So were you living there at some point, or were you born there? Was there a big pull to New York that kind of has this setting?
No, just the usual. Been a couple of times on holiday. Liked a lot of New York TV, police shows in particular, and kind of got the buzz from there really. Just thought I might try my hand at something along those lines, see if I could do something similar, not better, but see what happens.
Was it an immediate draw for you when you got to New York that you felt pulled? I know a lot of people say that when they get to New York, there's something quite immediate. Was it like that for you?
New York, well, to be honest, I found New York, and I don't know if you've ever been, it's like stepping onto a film set really. Everything's there, the steam comes up from the grates, there's yellow cabs running around here and there, and police on horseback on every street corner, and the sights and the sounds really of New York, it's all there. It is literally a film set, and obviously lends itself, I think, ideal to a police situation and a crime story. So it was certainly going there, coming back and watching TV shows, and then getting the idea behind trying my hand at writing a book, simply just to see if I could actually do it. People did doubt whether or not I'd be able to do it, whether or not I could do it, and then it sort of all come together at that point, really.
So you were a Jets fan before you went to New York, or was it going there that kind of drew you into then aligning yourself with the New York Jets?
Well, I started, certainly I and my brother started watching American football in the 80s, I think like most people who you've interviewed on the podcast so far. 82, 83, 84, I think Nicky Horn on Channel 4 on a Sunday night was straight after tea, bathed and showered, and then sat in front of the telly for a couple of hours watching the American football. And then there was a group of people at school who got heavily into it as well. One of them went on to play in quite a few teams in the UK, and is now quite heavily involved in one of the UK teams, one of the local UK teams here. And that was where the interest did start. I suppose it kind of went away, but has gradually come back, really around building the characters for the book. The books are around it. It's a team of detectives, but it centres in the main on one lead detective. He's a Yankees fan on the baseball side, and I've made him a Jets fan really because I kind of took a shine to the Jets when I was at school. So it was Giants or Jets, one or the other. So I went with the Jets. Much nicer logo than the Giants, in my opinion. But there you go. So I made him a Jets fan, and really the first two books have had elements and have touched on baseball. The third one, which I'm writing at the moment, is going to be more. It's going to bring the football side into it, which has again resurrected my interest in American football.
When we first started talking, Neil, you were keen to mention that although you were a supporter of the Jets, you're not someone that knows every stat and fact about them in the way of a superfan. Is that a way of just saying you're not because maybe they're a bit rubbish?
I think that's a bit harsh, a little bit harsh. No, I think it's because. Like in baseball, they're very stats heavy. Baseball certainly is very stats heavy. Football, not quite so stats heavy, but I think maybe it's because I've never been brought up with the game like they have in America. They play it from as soon as they can start walk, they're either throwing or swinging a baseball bat, or they're throwing or catching an American football. And I guess they learn all that as they grow up, like we would learn the offside rule in this country. And I guess it's a case of the available time. Have I got enough time to sit down and try and work out what all these stats mean and what all these rules mean and what all the flags that get thrown, what they mean and the penalties? And the short answer is no, not really. I prefer the spectacle of the game. I prefer watching the game. And also with a writer's eye or a writer's ear, trying to pick up on some of the phrases and the words and the lingo that gets used, because that kind of thing comes in useful when trying to write my book with an American accent in my head. There's a two-part element to it, enjoying the spectacle of the game, as in baseball, but also trying to pick up on some of the words and the phrases that I use and try and drop them into everyday conversation to make it as authentic as I can.
Season started.
Yeah.
Jets have got a tough start, and it went kind of wrong for them against the Bengals. Nick Folk, the kicker, missed field goal, he missed an extra point conversion. The New York Post has already been lamenting it, saying, already we've got a defining moment. Do moments like that have a parallel with writing as well? You look for these narratives that in sport we love, and particularly American football, with just the 16 games, people try and piece together early of a start, the highlight moment, this was the turning point. Is that in any way similar to when you're trying to make a plot?
Yeah, there are parallels. It's early in the season, Nathan. I think we'll both agree on that. So it's a little bit early to start jumping to conclusions.
In the same way it might be in a book where you see a character do something?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, again, writing books, there's got to be twists. There's got to be a couple of red herrings in there. They all take some plotting out, which can be plotted out. You can't plot a football season out other than trying to work out, obviously, who's coming out and then start looking at how you're going to play against them. So, yeah, there are parallels. It's going to be an interesting season. It's
interesting, your central character, Detective Bussell, he is very typically the hard-nosed, hard-boiled New York cop, decisive, gets things done. It struck me that that's kind of what the Jets need, someone that's going to be decisive and make things happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've still not worked out what's happening with Ryan Fitzpatrick yet, to be honest, because one minute he's staying, then he's not, then he's signing a deal, and so it's who is the key player? I think I don't know whether they have a key player anymore now. They lost Chris Ivory to the Jaguars, I think. Who played well last year. So
need someone decisive. So if you could script it, you could script that and actually tell them this is what you need to happen.
Yeah. If it was that easy, I'd be earning a fortune, wouldn't I?
Speaking of narratives that we have a lot in sport, there's an ongoing animosity and rivalry that the Jets have. Firstly, with the Bills coming up this Thursday, it's Thursday Night Football. They go to Buffalo. The last time the Bills opened a home game was against the Jets on Thursday Night Football, and people died. Obviously, I'm not going to mention the Bills too much as this goes on. And obviously, another one you have is with the Patriots, and quite an animosity with Bill Belichick, who left famously to go over to the Patriots. Are there any characters in the books that match this kind of as a villain or protagonist, or also as partners for Sam?
Yeah, I mean, the main, I suppose you call them chief antagonist, and trying not to get too formulaic about it. The chief antagonist for my lead detective, Sam, is the Internal Affairs Bureau, and in particular one sergeant who they've crossed paths many a times in the past. And they've come to an understanding. They have an agreement where they will never be best buddies, but they appreciate each other now more than perhaps they ever did. I think both of them have got each other wrong, and that seems to now have been put right. However, there's still a little bit of animosity between the two.
So this could be a good homework task, like we like to set on the podcast of people, with book 3 being about the New York Jets and having a bit of a crossover. One of the ones we mentioned was Last Chance U, and you say you've been watching that. And there's quite a few programmes now that we've seen that blur this fictional and documentary, from Friday Night Lights that was based on a real book, then went fictional, now Last Chance U. Is this something maybe you'd consider for your character in books, that it could have good potential as a Netflix series maybe?
Yeah, I think it does. The feedback I've had on the first 2 books in particular have been quite positive. People have said it reads like a TV show would read. It was written in a particular style, fairly short chapters of about 2,500 words per chapter. So it's a bit of a page turner. It's quite fast paced. If I was being honest, I would say it was based on quite a number of TV shows that we've perhaps had on before. So I can see it, and I guess that's how I've written it, in a kind of a style or format that would transfer to TV. I just need TV to give me a ring or come knocking on my door. Netflix, HBO. I'm not choosy.